everyone, it's Kirei here for Arden Creative Studio, and I have a brand new layout for you using the fabulous new Textures by Lou Collins Winter in Bloom Christmas collection. So I have pulled out the 12 by 12 paper pad and I've picked out this music pattern paper. It's quite subtle and I thought it would make a really good background. And then I've paired it with the striped paper, and it's sort of like a sagey green, and that's from the 8 by 8 paper pad. And I thought I'd use that as a central design and I've gone square because I've actually got 3 small square photos. So I thought keeping the shapes uniform would work well. And then I've dug into my premium cardstock and I've got all the colours. And this one is called Dawn and it's a really rich red. And I thought it just added that nice little pop of colour against the more subtle papers that I'm using. In my photos, there's a bit of red because we've all got sort of like hats or Santa hats on, or, yeah. So I thought that just tied in with the red in the photos. And then I've pulled out, these are actually all from the 12 by 12 paper pad. So at the back of the paper pad, there are 2 sheets of 2 different designs. And there's a whole sheet of like sort of journaling cards and letters and envelopes and things like that. So I'm just sort of working on layering them up behind my photos to add a bit of texture, a bit of difference, a bit of layering, and create that sort of extra dimension by just, by doing that. So I'm picking my photos again back to the 8 by 8 paper pad, and I've pulled in this sort of, it's a soft sort of pinky brown, I guess you could call it. And I just wanted something fairly plain to back my photos. And this just added enough to help lift them from the background. So I think I've got everything stuck down now. Yes. So not my photos, but the background is. And then I've got all my layering pieces now, and I'm really going to work on curling the edges of each of those pieces before I get them stuck down. So this just adds a lot, more interest and detail versus them just being completely flat. Now, if you've noticed, you'll notice my fingernails have changed colour. I started off with, it was like a brighter orange, and then I've come back and I've now got this sort of peely green. Yeah. I started the layout first thing in the morning early, and then I went off to get my nails redone because the orange was really growing out. And I've come back to this very different colour. I don't normally go for something like this, but I've always wanted to. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to go for it. Anyway, okay, back to the layout. So I've got the layering pieces stuck down. I'm sticking down my photos, and as always, I'm just adding a bit of foam pads to the top of each of the photos and leaving them flat at the bottom because I know I'm going to add my ephemera over the photos, so that makes it easier for me. So again, these are more of the kiss cut designs from the 12 by 12 paper pad. So I've got the large and the smaller poinsettias. I've got some little, almost like sort of little journaling pieces. And there's some stamps there. Those stamps are from the 8 by 8 paper pad, and there is a whole sheet. I think it's a whole sheet of 2 sheets of stamps. Yes, there's loads. So they're great for tucking in and just adding more layers to your embellishment clusters. And it's definitely something I love to do. Now I've got these stuck down, and then I realised I've got this other larger piece with a bit of the red in it that I wanted to add in underneath. So I've just had to pull those others off. So I can get this tucked in underneath, and then I can stick those others back down. So there we go. Easily fixed. So yeah, so just really continuing to work on building up those embellishment clusters. Right, okay, there's some fabulous die sets that come with this collection, and I'm using 2 of them. This first one is the festive words, which I've got obviously Merry Christmas, but it also includes festive wishes as well. And then I'm using the winter foliage die set as well, and I've got the holly leaves and I've got the branches with the berries on them. And the holly leaves I cut out from the music sheets paper pack. So they're quite delicate actually. So I really like how they look cut out with the music paper. It sort of it replicates my background in a different colorway, but also different texture. I've done my branches. I've cut those out with the same pattern paper that I mounted my photos on. And then I've got all the little tiny berries, and I'm just going to add those all now because they're also part of the die set as well. So you get single berries, you get berries together, and then you get like a cluster of berries as well. So I'm just going to get those stuck onto the branches, and then I can use those. And I really love that pop of red that it adds. Okay, so now I can get all these elements, these die cut pieces stuck down. So I'm just going back and making sure I'm happy with the placement of them. And then I'll just stick them down. And like always, I'm just adding a little bit of glue to the sort of one edge. And that way I still get that lift, that curl that I like. And then just tucking in, those are tiny, tiny little poinsettias, and they are from, I think they're from the laser cuts. Yes, they are from the laser cuts. There's another one of them. And then I've just got the little phrase here says season of joy. That is also from the laser cuts as well. So I've just raised that up on foam pads, and then you can get my little berry branches tucked in. So you can see it really just lifts it by adding those pops of red. I've got the red in the poinsettias, and then the little bit of pops of red from the border, and then from the berries. And I think that just works really well with the with my photos. So yeah, I'm happy with how that looked. So I've just realised the leaf isn't. I've stuck the glue on the wrong end because I wanted it around the other way, but that's okay. Just wiped it off. And then we're getting these last few bits and pieces tucked in. I've decided as well to go with this cluster at the top. I felt like it was sort of quite, I had a lot going on the sides, and it didn't feel quite right. So that's why I went with the cluster at the top here. So I've got another one of the sort of little journal type cards, like it's like a parcel label, really. Another one of the kiss cut poinsettias, the stamp, and just adding all of those in there. And I think that works much better and just balances out the large clusters that I had on both the left and the right of the layout. So I cut a few more of those holly leaves because of adding this extra cluster at the top. And then I can get my title on. Now that I've got all my embellishments in, I sort of know where it was going to go. So I'm just making sure I'm happy with that. And again, even though this is a really fine title, normally I'd raise them up on foam pads, but because it's so fine, I've just curved up the tops and the bottoms, and then I've just stuck it right across the middle. So I still get that lift from it. So yeah. And then I think I'm almost done. Oh, the last branch there to go in. Oh, and I think I have a few more little berries that I just tuck in, those last few bits on the that I have over there left on the left side there. I'm just going to add them into my clusters. And then I think I'm done. I will add my journaling below the title. And here you go. Here is the final layout. I hope you've enjoyed watching the process video and get some inspiration for scrapping some of those Christmas photos from last year that are still waiting to be done. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.